What has just gone on, people? What? We need to talk about this game. We need to sit down. Is this a weird parasocial relationship we have? And tell me if you feel it too. I pray that you do, because otherwise I'm a weirdo. I found myself just wanting to get to you guys so that we can talk about this game, so I'll chat to you guys, because that is the craziest game of football. I mean, it's of all time, certainly in the Champions League when it comes to a semi-final, with the context of it. And this channel is obviously all about attempting to give you some insight, but at times, in terms of what we've been able to build here, sometimes you just got to break down a game and talk about it from a football fan's point of view. I saw an amazing tweet. Someone replied to one of my tweets going, "Imagine not liking football. Imagine not having that game in your life." I do not support Barcelona. I do not support Inter Milan. But I left my house at 6:30 today, and I can't remember the trip. I am now in a completely different area of the country. The irony of this is I've just watched sporting excellence. Maybe not overall quality, certainly right up there, tactical quality for sure. But in terms of sporting excellence, in terms of the grit you need to survive a game, the luck you need to survive a game, all the elements that we absolutely adore about football, that was sporting excellence. The irony of it is that I literally was glued to my phone from leaving the train station at 7:40 to getting to Telford, then jumping in a cab. I've literally not looked up because I was utterly glued to that. And there's been so much talk about football and the way it's played. But that is a great example of, yes, the tactical elements are important, and we can touch on those, like, of course. But grit in sport is essential. And I just loved how ragged that game was. Both teams were absolutely spent. It was two prize fighters with different styles trying to find a way to get over the line, to get themselves into the final, and I absolutely loved it. We'll go through some of the elements of the game and talk through some of the players, but there will be a moment that I will miss here that you guys need to talk to me in the comments here. Okay, I'm in the comments, and I need to talk to you guys. And as I say, these games I love these games. The European semi-finals, that's where I come alive in terms of just being so excited to watch games of football. And I do feel a bit of guilt with what's happening right now. I'm currently hosting this BBC series that I'm so this is amazing. And this is because of countless nights of us and you, more importantly, spending some time with me. And it's all down to the love of the game. So I find myself kind of feeling really guilty, and I'm grabbing a camera and chucking it up, and I'm just in a hotel room, and it looks a bit weird, doesn't it? But at the end of it all, there's just a stunning game of football there, isn't there? And I'm really sorry that these videos are a bit more raw, but hopefully that will be enough for right now. I hope you guys know the quality that I want to be able to put out in every single video that we do. But because of how amazing you guys have been, I'm now getting some opportunities, and I have to take them. I have to go for them, and I'm so excited to take them. So sorry, that has just been on my mind a bit. But hopefully Rough and Ready is going to work here, because, I mean, God, what? It's like a 2-hour movie. I mean, it literally was a 2-hour movie, but it's a 2-hour movie. Do you see how relaxed I am? I'm literally taking my socks off because I'm just chatting with my people. Fucking, that's kind of cool. Is it weird? I think it's cool. I'm rambling. I know that. This is a mess, but it's been a long day. And I just have watched an utter classic. That game was so crazy, it's making me go crazy. Let me run through it if I can. First of all, styles make fights, right? And I thought what was so interesting was that it felt like, to me, certainly in that first half, that Barcelona was sort of blinded by their own superstar. And it felt like Inter Milan, in a wonderfully astute defensive performance, were what they were, from a strategy point of view, they were totally aware of what needed to happen, and they were watching this. They were assessing that if you think of Barcelona being blind, Inter Milan were watching this in HD. And what I thought they did brilliantly was they were focusing on that right-hand side. Dumfries looking to get as high up the pitch as possible. Constantly those switches from that left side to the right-hand side. And if you think of the 3-5-2, if you just twist it a little bit, sort of leaning towards that right-hand side, that was the average positions at half-time. I went and looked at it because as I was watching the game on the train, what you could see was DeMarco in possession, coming inside, completely trying to isolate one half of the pitch, in particular that right side of the pitch. And actually that first goal came from it. I'm pretty sure it was DeMarco on the blind side, because I think Barcelona, in terms of me trying to explain the fact that Barcelona was sort of blinded by Yamal, he is so hard right now, and he is so good. Like shudderingly good, that understandably all roads you want to circle over and get yourself there. And I thought that allowed Inter Milan to read the game really, really well. And when you've got that focus, and also I think that you're only as strong as your weakest link. And I think although Martin in the second half I thought did really, really well, of course he got the assist and he's a really, really young player. I thought in the first half, what was really interesting was that Inter Milan, the sole focus was Yamal, and therefore they were taking two players over to him. It would be DeMarco and Bastoni, or actually it was often DeMarco and Mkhitaryan, and then actually it was a third in Bastoni. It was 3-on-1, like all the time. And there were so many moments where Garcia was kind of like up there, sort of like, like a guy at a house party who doesn't know anyone. He's just sort of standing in the corner because they knew that he was not going to be getting involved in the game at any point. And that allowed Inter Milan to thrive, to be aggressive. Bissek just followed Rafinha all the time. Both those two centre-backs were able to be nice and aggressive. They also didn't really worry about Ferran Torres because that centre of the pitch was pretty solid. And on the other side with Martin, he wasn't hesitant, but he's not Balde, is he? So that allowed, with Rafinha stepping in to a more kind of narrow position, it allowed actually Inter to remain pretty compact. And as I say, win the ball, poach the ball at different times, focus on that right-hand side. Barella with those late runs nearly scored an incredible goal. Remember this? It was so long ago now in the first half where he flicked it over the player. It's actually just before the goal. And that focus on that right-hand side was great because there's so many bodies that you've got to get past to get the ball to Yamal. So you're kind of sort of turning the tap off. As time progressed in the second half, it was one where, it's funny, isn't it? Again, if you use that boxing analogy, it's one where it felt like Inter Milan were kind of at it, but how you get on in the first, second, third, fourth round, that doesn't equate to how it's going to go. It felt like they wilted. And it kind of happened in the first game as well. Of course, 2-0 up in both. I think I saw a stat that Inter Milan were only behind for 5 minutes of the entire tie. When you think of kind of the stats and the overall, again, we're leaning on possession here, 71% to 29%, something that Inter Milan, it kind of suited them, didn't it, overall, because they were looking to be careful. But I thought they were a lot more potent going forward, a lot more aggressive going forward. And in that first half, deserved to be, above and far and away. And it felt like you always thought there might be something that could happen. But at that moment, Barcelona looked just a little bit snookered. And Yamal, because there was 3 men on him, wasn't getting the joy that he wanted to. But it's just, this is the amazing thing, isn't it, about football? That like game state, context, and almost just like the emotional exchange of who you're playing against, the superstardom of them, and how that made this Inter Milan team wilt. Like, I'm looking at the stats here. One stat I did hear Gabby Logan say was the average age 29.8 for Inter Milan, 25.3 for Barcelona. And it's one where I think initially they started to kind of fall away at what Bissek, as good as he was in the first half, really looked knackered. And actually, Thuram looks spent he looked absolutely spent in this game, and they wilted away, and Barcelona got themselves back into it. Yamal was having his way with them, and it looked like they were going to get the job done, didn't it? And then the Acerbi goal. Like, again, talk about grit. I was watching him straight after the goal. He literally looked like he was wounded. But that's, I mean, again, about the grit, about the desire, about hanging in there, about finding different ways. Like, it doesn't just have to be one way. And I talk about styles making fights. I think that 3-5-2 with Yamal on that side, but generally wanting to cut back onto that left foot, actually kind of suited the 5-3-2 out of possession that generally, once they got to a low block, that Inter Milan kind of had to use and did use. But another thing I thought was so important, and you don't see it enough, and it shows the importance, and the winning goal was exactly this: the importance of two forwards, having two forwards, because if you do clear the ball, to get those knockdowns, to have two out-and-out forwards, which obviously has been such a staple of Inzaghi's system at Inter Milan, and you know the changes that happened. Martinez, we didn't even think he was going to get on the pitch. You've got Taremi who comes on. That final goal, I think an understanding of how tired absolutely everyone was. Thuram is able to go on, I'm just going to trust that I've probably got enough in the tank to get away. But also just to have Taremi won't be focused on for that goal. But to have just a natural forward, just there with his back to goal, comfortable, to then lay the ball off to Fratesi. And the amount of time that Fratesi had on the ball, I thought it was interesting. The defender, I think it was Martin, maybe forgive me if I'm wrong, because there was a lot of substitutions. A lot of things happened in this game, didn't it? It's such a thing of modern football that when they're defending, they've got their arms behind their back now, right? And so that mixed with this tiredness, they weren't even able to get anywhere near Fratesi, and had so long to pick out that winning goal. But for them to get there, for Acerbi to be up top, and even little moments where is it destiny? Chuck it out there if you want to. But just that little bit of luck. And the game needs luck. You know, the pitches are getting better. There's never been more analysis from all of us, right? There's never been more data to help with that. There's never been more substitutes to keep the team fresh and to change it up. Sometimes the ball just needs to fall for you. And actually, that Acerbi goal, one, it's him just going, fuck it, I'm going up there. But also, there's a moment there with Dumfries where it just falls for him. And I think if it was a cleaner breakaway, I think Acerbi's offside. So all these little moments kind of all come together for it to work out for them. What a stunning game of football. I've got to be honest, finals are great. Semi-finals just get me going, man. There's something different about them. And that, both ties, absolute classic from the first minute with Thuram with that first goal. Yamal with how stunning he is and how stunning he's going to be. You know, I think there was an opportunity maybe for him to get into more central areas more often. Could that have happened with a bit more rotation for him to feel out the game and get into those different areas to make Inter Milan think in a different way? We'll never know. But it's not like he was still unfortunate, hit the post. Sommer, who we've not even spoken about, has made some incredible saves. Also a bit of analysis for you. He looks a bit like the bloke from White Lotus. Yeah? If you've seen White Lotus, you'll know what I'm talking about. But Inter Milan are in the Champions League final, despite being squeezed. On the ripple effect, we had Nima, and he said that he thinks Napoli's going to win the league because the amount of games that this Inter Milan team has got to navigate with an average age of 30. I mean, obviously, Acerbi's, really bumping that up there. But there's a lot of guys in their late 20s, all of them really. I'm just looking at the starting 11 now. The youngest player is Bastoni at 26. So for them to navigate all these games and to bloody do it again against Barcelona was incredible. I literally felt like I've just watched a film. Wow. Absolutely incredible. For them to get over the line, one for the older lads, it's one for the experience, one for the guile, one for the finding a way, as opposed to the out-and-out talent and brilliance of this Barcelona team, which is there for all to see. And it's one where I think if you're an Arsenal fan, we'll see how this one ages, but that will, and we've seen this before in semi-finals, what happens in the first leg can really empower and motivate a team in the second leg. And could this victory play a big part in the Arsenal game? I think it will definitely, they'll have watched it and have gone, do you know what, why not? Why can't we do it? Because I know it was a disappointing result overall, but Arsenal are not a million miles off this PSG team. But today's about Inter Milan. It was done. It was over. And it was a bit like Bellingham, wasn't it? In the sense of if you think about it, in the Euros where Bellingham gets that goal, I was at that game. And then you just it just felt that little bit different. That's easy to say when obviously Inter Milan get the goal and Barcelona aren't able to score again. But this was an outrageous classic where I don't think you dig out Barcelona in any way. Could there have been a bit more fluidity to the changes? Has the high line sort of caught them out a touch from a couple of goals? I think you live and you die by that. And some people it will suit them, some people it won't. Overall, it has been a massive strength, especially in this VAR era for Barcelona. Ironically, if you think of the penalty, if VAR doesn't exist, I think no one blinks. I think everyone just goes, well, that was a really, really good challenge. Interesting stuff. Incredible game. Bloody love football. Hope you do too. If you do love it, then I will continue to enjoy football and ramble on this camera as long as you will allow me to. I'm so sorry. I'm here. But I'm also, this is something that we've talked about, right? We're starting to get a few opportunities here, but I will never forget this channel. We will continue to strive to make better content. I think you've seen that in this year. With some of the content that we've done. So go check that out if you haven't, because we're really, really trying to up our game here. That is the desire to give you guys interesting, fun stuff. And I bloody love football. All right? See you later.